You know, Butch has done a great job serving Louisiana for a long time in a lot of different capacities. I think he was actually law enforcement at one time. He's been in the fire service. He's done a lot of things as fire marshal especially. So I want to thank him for his service and the work that your staff and all the people do at the fire marshal's office. You know, he's one of those individuals that is called upon not just in Louisiana but around the country for his expertise and his experience when it comes to responding to disasters. This year alone, he was everywhere from Florida to Texas doing that. So thank you very much. I also want to highlight the commitment of our firefighters across the state of Louisiana who serve on the front lines of disaster. That is a testament to their bravery, their strength, and their dedication to the community. So I invite all firefighters, state fire marshal officials, and emergency responders to please stand now and be recognized. Thank you. Now, tragically, we lost two of our own this year, both while on duty protecting our community. And I'm going to ask Butch to lead us in honoring these two brave men.
Thank you, Governor. It's indeed an honor to stand before you, and the Louisiana Fire Service appreciates your support. You are truly a public safety family product, and you understand what we do, and it's just an honor, the opportunities I have to work with the Governor, not only in times to make things better, to prevent fires and to be proactive, but also when we have to work together in tragedies, and it's appreciative that we have such a great team. But you know, tonight we're here to honor the men and women of the fire service, and I tell you what, there's not a better place that I could be right now, because I love it when we honor firefighters. Because let me tell you something about firefighters. They're very unique people. They're probably some of the most humble and probably some of the most selfless people you ever meet. And in fact, if we told them we were giving them a public award, they wouldn't show up. But if we told them somebody within the firehouse was getting an award, they'd probably start fighting like sisters and brothers, because they don't like that. But in fact, we're here to honor their service, and we're here to honor what they do every day. You know, and I've said it many times. I remember when I first went to work at the fire department, a saying was passed on to me, and I repeat it often. And that saying is, one day, every bit of training that you take, one day, every bit of wisdom that you can extract from your brother firefighters, one day, every bit of knowledge that you've learned from an emergency call will be put to a test. And the result of that day will be whether someone lives or someone dies. And ladies and gentlemen, sometimes that person who dies is that brother or sister firefighter. And that's exactly what we experience in Louisiana too many times. So we want to take the opportunity to recognize two individuals in the capital area, and we just appreciate the fact that the Red Cross has given us your agenda tonight, because I know the Red Cross is full of a lot of important functions, but to give this to the Louisiana Fire Service, to honor two people, we want to do that. Tonight I know Chief Kimball's here with Zachary, and I want to start off and talk about Chris Lawton, who I had the honor to hire him to his very first job at District 6 Fire Department in North Baton Rouge. A phenomenal kid, a true example of a selfless, humble servant. Chris died in the line of duty. He didn't have enough being a firefighter in the city of Zachary, but he also felt the need to help the police department keep the city of Zachary safe. And Chris died in the line of duty. And I know we have a respect to Chris at his table back here. We have an empty chair that Chris is represented in tonight. And Chief Kimball, I certainly, my prayers and thoughts still go out to Chris and to your department. So if we could have a moment of silence for Chris. Thank you. The second individual, who unfortunately I and most of the people in this room know, Deputy Chief Russell H, who I knew him when he started off as a paramedic at Baton Rouge EMS and just had that passion in him, and moved to St. Francisville, to West Feliciana Parish to work for that fire district, and was killed in the line of duty protecting someone who was involved in an auto accident during the ice storm in January. Still an example of not only a person who was #1 in the fire department, who put everybody else before him, but even in his spare time was there for every sport event in St. Francisville, coached the teams, and was a model citizen, and who as well has left a big hole in the West Feliciana Parish Fire District 1. So I ask that we have a moment of silence for Chief H. And thank you. And the message is, we shall never forget these heroes for what they do, for the protection that they do. And how do we never forget these heroes? Well, there's two things we do. Number one, we support their families. Their families, the two men that I just told you, there are 4 children who don't have their dad. And we support their families. And we do it in many, many ways. The second thing that we must do is we have to learn from them. And I just believe, and I'll never forget in Russell's funeral, it was very clear that Russell just wanted everybody to get along. And those of you that were there, you heard me say, he just wants you to get it done. We don't need to argue. We don't need to fight. We just need to get it done. So a tremendous example. And again, I appreciate the opportunity to with you memorialize these people. You know, as you here to honor the firefighters want to say thank you, and we want to honor the American Red Cross. As the governor stated in his address, the Red Cross does many things. You know, one of the more important things that's visible to us in the fire service is their role in emergency response every day in our communities. You see, when a fire happens and people's homes are damaged and people are displaced, it's a very, very sad situation when you see firefighters rush in and you see people's possessions being protected, when you see people receiving maybe medical attention, and in some cases when we see those deaths. But once those things are done, it is the work of the American Red Cross to bring that family back together. Whether it's providing food, whether it's providing clothing, whether it's getting those families immediately into shelter, American Red Cross is on the front lines. And we want to say thank you for that. We want to say, as firefighters, you are continuing the work that we are doing out there in ministering to these families and getting these families back into some sense of security. You know, I just couldn't imagine the people today who are still rebuilding from this flood, who still don't have their home. That happens every night when there's a fire, when people are just surprised with this tragedy. And it is the American Red Cross that brings these families to safety.
Made more than 471,000 households safer through home fire safety preparation. Provided home fire safety education to more than 1 million youth. Installed more than 1.1 million smoke alarms. Saved 348 lives, including 11 in Louisiana. In 2017, the Louisiana Red Cross installed over 4,200 smoke alarms, reached nearly 5,100 youth through preparedness programs, and responded to more than 1,200 fires. This spring, the Red Cross and its partners will sound the alarm, installing more than 100,000 smoke alarms nationwide. This will include more than 1,000 installs in the Baton Rouge-area between April 28th and May 5th. The Red Cross and its partners already began 2018 by installing more than 1,500 smoke alarms throughout the Capital West area during January and February.